Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where tonight's going to be a very interesting night, as it is each and every single week here at Talk Junkies. We got Johnny, Jesse back in the house.
Woo! House in it.
We got Carl special guesting again tonight, as it's beautiful every time he walks into this studio.
Whoa.
What up, Carl?
What it do?
It do a lot of do, my do. Scooby-Doo, Scooby Snacks.
What a great intro.
Check out last week's podcast. Dan joined the show. We got a little bit into the Green New Deal. It was a very interesting conversation to have with Dan. He had texted me probably a few months ago and said, hey, man, whenever you get a chance, let me come on. Let's talk about the Green New Deal. I didn't know Dan was going to come spitting the way he was spitting, man. It was very interesting. I need to put links down below where he got his information, because if his information is legit, it's very interesting stuff that Dan talked about. So if you want to hear what Dan was saying, tune into last week's podcast, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Podomatic, any of that shit. You can check it out. Last week, Talk 201. But tonight, we got the whole crew in the house. We're going to enjoy this each and every single time that it happens, because you know what? Nothing's ever granted each and every single week. Jesse's about to have a kid here soon, so we're going to take it for how it is. Whenever I get to see Jesse, I feel extremely blessed every time you walk in here, man.
I'm feeling more blessed. It's weird whenever you know that something is like a new chapter is coming up. It's not like I'm never going to be on the podcast, but obviously I'm going to have to take a big break. You start appreciating shit a lot more for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I had to fight a little bit tonight.
When's the due date?
To get here? June 2nd.
Oh, fuck, you got time.
Plenty
That's
of
coming
time,
up
bro.
quick.
Fuck, yeah, 2 months.
Plenty of time. It's weird walking through my house and then seeing a nursery.
Oh, yeah, because you guys, I haven't been in there since you guys got, like, the crib and stuff.
I meant to,
man.
text you and ask you for pictures. I didn't know if that'd be weird, but...
No, I would have sent them to you. You'd actually really appreciate it, because she chose Green Bay Packers colors. Unaware, but it's that green.
Nice.
That green is in the nursery. And
Nice.
I was like, I told her, you paint that crib like a gold yellow,
Woo.
and it looks like we're Packers fans. Like we're
Little-
reading a pack.
Little Jesse.
Little Aaron Rodgers.
And she doesn't know anything about fucking football, but I'm like, man, this looks like a Packers room right here. But yeah, I have no say in anything.
Wait till the baby starts shitting. It'll look like Packers colors also.
Oh, yeah. The first few days. It's Packers cottage cheese, man. Wisconsin cheese.
Nice.
I guess that'd be a good way to describe it.
I think so.
Yeah. We're going to go a little bit different tonight. Typically, we go into conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, or politics, or just stuff of that matter. But tonight, we haven't had Neha Kapoor on in a while, because just conflicting schedule type of thing.
Around the other side of the fucking earth
makes
things difficult when trying
Australia.
to line shit up.
But she would appreciate this podcast. We're just going to go into some mental health, man. I think it impacts, especially the United States, Western society, probably everywhere in the world, honestly. With the amount of television, propaganda, if that's what you want to call it, we'll just call it television, news, events that go on. And even with even for people who aren't involved in that, there's still mental health that goes on in their everyday lives. The amount of the homeless population that goes on in the United States, it's staggering. It's at an all-time high type of thing. And it's just something that we really don't face head on, and we really don't talk about. We just stray away from it. And and for some people, they let these types of feelings soak in. And Carl brought it up earlier in the podcast, and he'll talk about it a little bit here shortly. It doesn't affect some people. Some people don't really have those types of issues, but these issues exist, and they really do affect people. I don't know how we want to start it or where we want to go with it.
I think everybody experiences depression, anxiety, loneliness, all of those things. But I think it's at what degree. Is it purposeful?
There's different tiers.
Yeah, exactly. Is there, man, if you're doing really, you don't have a job, you have no fucking motivation, you fucking hate the world, you hate the people that you have to see every day, you eat like fucking shit, you drink fucking booze every fucking night, and then you go, oh man, I'm depressed. They're probably there are some fundamental things you should probably try to change first. But then there's also individuals, like what I was bringing up before we started this, like Anthony Bourdain, which is it boggles my mind that somebody that literally got into the field that they want to be in very well established, like award-winning author. I don't know what award that would be, like New York Times bestseller.
Or like Robin Williams.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
Robin Williams, who has like, man, there is something that their brain just does not fucking produce the shit that needs to be produced to fucking feel okay. You know, and that's just got to be a terrible thing.
So I don't know. Did we talk about it on the podcast or not? It's a chemical thing. So you think you're born this way? Do you think that it has like an outside? Is there an outside element to it that could affect it, or are you just born that way?
Well, no, you go.
I think that you can't. In my opinion, you can't generalize depression because there's different forms of it. Because you can, like Jesse talked about earlier with someone who's drinking, doing all this different stuff. You can have like a rock bottom form of depression, which may be temporary, or you have people who get seasonal depression and stuff. And there's different levels of like, some people think that depression is sadness. Some think it's like a lack of hope or whatever. And then there are people like Anthony Bourdain, and I don't know, I can't speak for him or whatever. It's just a whatever. There are people out there who have a chemical thing where it's literally, it's like a loss, like a darkness or a loss of hope or anything that just shrouds over your entire life. And it doesn't matter what you do in your life, that doesn't change. So there's like, that's why I said there's tiers and there's like different versions of it.
And I get that because everyone saw. I mean, again, some people don't. Carl, you're very lucky. I mean, I go through depression, I guess you could call it, and the way that you describe it, like for me, how you just described it, Johnny, is like I always wonder, and I think too much of how society is and why society in the Western world or the United States is the way that it is. And if I consume myself too much into that, it starts to fuck with me, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on, type of thing. And it just gets aggressive, man. It gets too overwhelming, you know, like when I'm just doing what I do job-wise, it's just like, why did we go this route? And I think a lot of it has to do with that, like depression and stuff, like maybe human, and I say this a lot in the podcast, maybe we went the wrong direction as a society, and that's what creates a lot of these types of mental health, is because maybe this isn't the way it was supposed to be. And I'm not blaming all of mental health on the way Western society is.
And you're probably right in the sense that I think there's a lot of that. I mean, you see... There's so many like suicides and stuff that are linked to even stuff like finance issues and stuff like that. There's so much that can bring someone down to that point. Like Jesse talked about earlier there's that rock bottom depression, which to me is different than the purely like all the time chemical one where it's like, and yeah, I think that that's a massive problem in not just the United States, but in the world in general, is like you talk about getting sad when you look at all the stuff. We've talked about not being real okay with ourselves or the world after leaving a podcast and talking on the back deck. You know, there's a lot in the world that's bad and you can find some good in it too. But there's times when, yeah, you're going to get sad or depressed or whatever because of those things. And with the current state of the world, I think you see more and more of that. We talked about it with kids, with social media and like bullying and school shootings and all this. Like, yeah, that is a mental health thing and one version of it. And then you have another version of it as well.
But it's like an outside influence.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is this outside influence that's causing somebody to feel some way. But the other thing that can just happen, which is weird because I don't think other animals go through, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm assuming that like more highly sentient thinking creatures, like let's say just like apes or like monkeys, I don't think they just go through. And I could be wrong on this.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So I'm talking out of my ass right now, but I'm
Well, I
pretty
mean, you
sure.
see like a dog. A dog will be sad that you're gone. Are they depressed when you die?
Yeah, or even the Tilikum, the Tilikum, like shit, like that whale, the killer whale, highly intelligent animal, becoming depressed just because of the enclosure that it's in. But that's an outside thing coming in. I don't know if there was like a natural born, highly intelligent whale that's out in the ocean that its life is perfectly fine, exactly how whale's life should be, and it's just fucking sad. I don't.
So that's
know.
what I'm saying. Like, what is that for a human? An uninfluenced type of life for a human, to where it's like a killer whale. Maybe you're suggesting that if a killer whale is in its environment, it wouldn't be depressed.
Yeah. But humans, for some reason, can actually have chemical imbalances.
Okay. And I guess my question for that would be just maybe some of that could be the food that we eat, GMOs. None of it's really even natural. Chemtrails. Which
Man, we've been over GMOs, Paul. We've had podcasts on GMOs.
I know, but like just all these things.
Let the GMOs
Well,
go.
they've proven that depression is genetic as well, so I don't think it can just be that.
Fair enough, but I mean, but that could be an ongoing thing of just the air we breathe.
No, you're right. Long term, sure, maybe it could be that, but I'm just saying on like short term basis. Short term meaning 50 years or something. Like there is genetically passed on
because those things that during that environment when a woman's pregnant, she's very stressed out. It puts stress on the kid
or postpartum.
Well, I mean, even
depression.
chemicals, just like you not having the level of like serotonin or your receptors aren't whatever for norepinephrine or whatever it is.
Postpartum is a good example. Like after a woman has a baby, like how that shit like can really fuck.
That's just from the connection,
There's
right? They don't have
There's a bunch of studies on that. Like that's
no, it's a thing. Yeah,
postpartum depression.
So humans are unique in that aspect where even in the right environment or the perfect environment for a human, there's still going to be that aspect of mental health, no matter what. It's what's embedded in our DNA, I guess. Fair enough. Type of thing.
I almost wonder how far dated back, and it's probably just no numbers because you talk about psychology and psychiatry in general is a pretty fairly new thing in human society in general, I would assume. Like that's got to be a real new thing. Even though it might be like 250 years, 300 years in the study of it, but man, that's like no time at all to like really get a good grasp on what's happening within the most complex thing that we know of right now is the human mind. It still outdoes computers and fucking everything. The human mind still baffles people whenever you attempt to study it, all these things, and to see like a little, something go wrong in it to where, man, it's just making you feel this certain way.
That's true. But so, Carl, how does it? So for you, it's just something that doesn't really happen.
I mean, it's not to say I don't get upset about things, but I don't know. I don't let shit linger. I mean, it's hard to say because, like I said earlier, like my wife has depression, and she tries to tell me about it, and like in my mind, I'm like, just let it go, or you can't.
But it's a lot easier said than done, though.
And I know, and I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying, like for me, it's not that way. It's like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so why am I going to let it affect me?
Which goes back to what Jesse said about literally something can be wrong in your brain. Like different people have different brains.
Right. Exactly. But so I'm just not wired that way,
And I think it's interesting that people like you exist where it's mental health is really not a struggle for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're able to handle it a lot better than most. And I guess within how humans are, they're going to be those people. Like whatever you are in the top 10% or whatever that is, but...
Right. It's, some people who you said it like, are homeless or struggle with money. It's like, I'm never not going to support my family. I guess as far as depression goes, I get upset about money, but I'll go to fucking work 7 days a week and take care of business. Yeah. I'm not going to dwell on it and be like, oh man, my life sucks. I can't make any money. Go fucking earn it. I mean, that's how I look at it.
It's weird. So I don't think I have any kind of like depression issues, but I definitely have anxiety issues. And I think that I know that because I'm like, this is unnecessary the way that I'm feeling. Like I think
and uncontrollable, right?
Yeah. It's literally like it's fucking stupid. It's like you're in a scenario like socially, like I legitimately think I have like social anxiety, which is heightened through other like poor habits that I have in my life. I know that for a fact, but I've always had it a little bit. Of just like, man, this is stupid. Why am I so anxious right now? And I feel so uncomfortable when this should just be a normal scenario. And it's just, I can't fucking help. I just fucking, it's this anxiety is this weird, uncomfortable feeling. Like I'm not depressed. I don't hate myself. It's just, I feel extremely, nothing feels right.
Have you always been that way though?
Yeah.
Even when you were younger in your high school years, when you go to parties and stuff, like that's how you were.
Well, no, not when booze got involved. I think that's why I
probably suppresses it.
Yeah. Oh, booze. Hell, if you have anxiety, you drink some booze, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Like booze is a massive help to like self medicate. I would say.
Yeah.
In a sense, if you feel that way, but man, I've always felt that. Not always. I don't always have it, but I definitely have like moments of like, this is fucking stupid. Like, why do I feel like my world is like closed? I've had really bad panic attacks in the past couple of years, or anxiety attacks, whatever you want to call them, to where like literally I feel like I'm going to die. This does not fucking feel right. And it literally feels like fucking death. And I'll get like,
I remember, and I don't know if you're cool with me talking about it or not. No,
that's fine. I'm talking about it now. I came home and it made no sense. I was fine fucking all day. I was fine all day at work. I'm literally like 30 minutes out from like clocking out, and I just feel this like weird pop in my fucking chest, and then everything starts closing in. And then everything gets super scary. Like, I know this sounds so stupid, but it's like interacting with anybody else just sounds terrifying, and I feel like I'm dying, and fucking it's just this massive, just overwhelming feeling, and it's terrifying. And then you give it a little bit, and then eventually it just like went away. It was like
It's like a bad mushroom trip, man.
But for like you're sober and everything's fine, and then out of nowhere, just boom, this pop, and then just nothing fucking. I don't feel right. Nothing makes like I'm still functioning, and it's just this very weird, like frustrating thing.
I remember
having an anxiety attack. I would call it having an anxiety attack
or a panic attack or
panic
same
attack
thing.
is something, and it's so unpleasant. It is very, very unpleasant.
I remember you. I don't know if you care if I say it or
No,
not.
you can say whatever you want.
I remember Jesse. Back when we were roommates, I remember Jesse getting home from work the day that he had a panic attack and talking about it just very briefly. And then you, and I don't even know if you remember, but you went upstairs and downstairs several times within a matter of like 20 minutes. Like you went downstairs because you wanted to be alone because you didn't even want to like talk to me because of the like anxiety and stuff.
yeah.
You didn't even want to be around another person. So you would go downstairs. But then you'd come back upstairs and pace for a second and whatnot. And I specifically remember one time you coming upstairs and pacing through the kitchen and the living room back and forth. And you looked at me and you were like, I'm not trying to be weird, but I'm hanging out up here so there's someone else because I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah,
he was like, I feel like I'm going to be dead at any moment, and I'd rather there be someone here to like call the police or whatever or the ambulance if I keel over. Like that's what you said to me.
Yeah, it's really fucking scary. I've only had a couple of them in my fucking life, but yeah, no, it's a terrifying fucking experience. I haven't had one. I haven't had one in a while, but those are bad.
Scary. But didn't you say
those are bad?
But that could also be bait, and maybe you don't even know the answer to this. But I'd be curious if you would still have those types of things based upon what you do on an everyday basis.
No, I'm
what
sure
you consume and what you do type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, it could have been so many things. But man, I legitimately think I have an underlining anxiety issue to where I just feel socially weird from like time to time. And man, you tack it on with maybe I drank too much, and then maybe I didn't eat, and then I had too much caffeine, and I'm trying to figure out. But it's so weird because you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like I should not be feeling like this.
Well, and I guess for anxiety and you don't know what triggered it because you were at work and it just happened and it just popped out like you said.
Everything was fine.
That's insane.
I remember reaching into the window. I was getting a side of rice with a side of sour cream, and I felt this pop in my chest, and I literally thought I was gonna like pass out.
Oh my God.
And then this tunnel vision happened, and I was like, luckily I was already on my way out of work. Basically, the drive home was scary. I'm like, it's this feeling. It's a terrible fucking feeling. Like nothing fucking feels right, and I feel like I'm gonna die. It's so yeah.
Did you look it up at all?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Because I was thinking, because obviously, like you know me, I fucking drink, and they were talking about Tremens, and I didn't know that if I was having like a Tremens fucking like thing, which is like if you drink too much, and then you go through alcohol withdrawal, and then you can have anxiety attacks and panic attacks, which you can die from, which doesn't help whenever you look it up, by the way.
Right.
To fucking hear that you can die from that shit. Which escalated it. But no, eventually, yeah, no, it was fine. Which don't get me wrong, I would have immediately, like that day I know that you're talking about, I felt so out of place, I just immediately started like drinking as much as I could to like get rid of it.
Did it help?
Not really at the beginning. Eventually, I think that if I wouldn't have drank at all, I think it just would have subsided. But yeah, no, it was a weird thing. I'm being super honest on this fucking podcast.
See, so to me, that's like, like you guys talked about before, like, we talked about like Johnny doesn't have like an inner voice, That's how it is for me. Like right now, it's like, I can't relate to that kind of shit. I really can't,
Because some people are just different.
Right.
Just have different.
Like, and nothing against anybody. I know it's a battle and taking nothing away from that, but like, yeah.
I think for me, it's just trying to find the origins of depression or mental health within humans, and I think maybe it is embedded in us, like you guys talked about. I guess initially what I was thinking is that like I said, earlier, it's just I think there are a lot of components within our society that contribute to these mental health issues that we have. Like I said, eating habits, drinking habits, drug habits, the air we breathe type of thing, what's in the water, fluoride, whatever. And maybe that has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying there's a lot of outside influence that is not in our control. And I would be curious to know if all those things weren't there, would it be a better place for human beings? Again, I always bring up the time where you have Howdy Mikowski and he said they had these temples and they were beautiful and the vibration and all these things. I'm curious if there's ever been a time in human history where that was a thing, or if it is embedded in us.
I still think, and this is all opinion, which, I mean, obviously they know that, but still throwing it out there, it's all opinion. But I still think that and there's probably way more than two, but to simplify it, I'm going to say two. I think there's two different types, and that one of them is probably very much what you say, which is direct, like it's an effect of your environment, whether short-term or long-term over years, the food you eat, the alcohol you consume, or nicotine or drugs or whatever, or absence of that even, maybe not consuming those things and maybe you need them or whatever, or, you know, the way you grew up, all this. I think there's that. And I do think that there is also the purely like chemical, like you were born with it kind of thing, where it's just in your brain that for whatever reason it doesn't produce the chemicals needed, or B, does produce the chemicals, but they don't go correctly because you don't have the receptors or they're closed off or all that kind of stuff. Like, I think there's just different versions of it.
But I think like if you take the first example, like you just said, and you put a mother who is bearing a child and she's in that environment and she's stressful and she's going through all of these things, whatever, like I said, in the first example that you said, that I described, that's why that baby would be that way. They would come out that way because their mother went through that, and that type of shit is going into that DNA. I don't know if that's how it works, but I know if like women who are stressed or women who are on drugs, like you see studies where a woman who's a crack addict comes out and that baby has withdrawals right whenever they're born type of thing. So I think the same thing could apply with stress. I could be wrong. But
no, I could definitely see that.
Yeah,
happening.
A woman who's completely stressful throughout the whole pregnancy, and then when the baby's born, like maybe that's why the baby throughout life has those types of issues.
But I think you can also have the other side of it too, where there could be a perfectly happy mother going through the minimum amount of stress during childbirth, and that child is just
for sure, yeah,
genetically whatever.
Yeah, that's true. So I think it's safe to say that just it's something that's going to live with us forever. But we don't talk about it, which is crazy.
I think that's the big thing, is the lack of talking about
even
it.
Having Neha Kapoor on and having her on twice, like, did we really even like that? We dove into it, but like with the first podcast, I'd have to re-listen to it and maybe do a better job of describing it. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't know how much more I have to say on it, man. It sucks.
Well, and I want to go back real quick to like you were talking about Carl and like how you just you don't let things get to you and stuff.
Yeah.
Once again, going with the whole purely genetic side of things or DNA based things, I'm sure that there's people, I'm almost positive there's people way above Carl to where no matter what happens in the world, nothing can ever get them down. They will always be bubbly and happy. They could be at ultimate rock bottom, whatever that may be, homeless, lost a child.
Oh, that's
all
true.
This
You
different
see
stuff,
people like that.
and they're still like, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And maybe because they're getting more of that or what. That's what I'm saying. I think the brain is just different for different people.
Which just goes into how complex the brain is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. I don't know. It's just,
if you're ever depressed and you do need help or whatever, though, there are definitely a ton of, as far as the U.S., I can't speak for other countries, there's a ton of like free options and resources that you can do.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. We're about like my insurance. They offer free health, or free mental health. I don't know the right word. I get help. 100% paid. You know, you can talk to a therapist. They got an app that I can download, or my wife. We can download it. And you can like, if you don't want to like talk to somebody, like, you know, we're talking now, you can text them, you know, however you feel comfortable communicating is how they'll do it with you. So, I mean, there's shit, you know, there's things to reach out for, you know.
It's weird that sometimes you just need somebody to like hear you and for you to be honest without this like bullshit. Like, I have to present myself the way that you think you need to view me as. Like, that's what people are paying for, which is really sad because people should just be able to be open and honest about like how they feel about shit. But so much in society is, man, you got to fit this version, and everybody's worried about, you know, how you're fucking seen. Like, everybody loves Raymond. You know, that's the whole running gag. Like, he just wants everybody to fucking like him.
Yeah.
And it always ends up like you can't do that. But
Well, and there's the fear of you want to fit in with society, so there's like the fear of judgment, or even if it's people who are close to you that may not judge you, you could fear like pity, for example. You don't want people to treat you different out of like pity and like feeling bad for someone kind of thing.
I know I have trouble with that as far as being honest towards a lot of things, because I worry about whether or not, you know, like how I'm going to be viewed.
Yeah,
Even
by friends and family.
So where
Yeah,
especially,
I mean,
I was going to say especially by
with
friends and family.
is that specifically because it's friends and family, or is that what culture has created? Is that what they've instated into you when you're born, and then as you grow up, you're like, I have to please these people. I can't do this. I can't do that.
I think that's a human need for acceptance.
But man, that shows you that everybody's authentically themselves, and you almost can't help but be uniquely you. And then whenever you try to fit into something else that doesn't, like, you're trying to fit a square through a circle fucking hole.
But I feel like it is difficult with friends and family because, you know, you have a problem telling a stranger to fuck off, do you? You know, it's the same thing with your family. You want their acceptance. You're not going to tell them to fuck off. You know, so what you're saying, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
You don't want to be,
friends and family.
Jesse uses this word a lot, but you don't want to be ostracized from that group.
Exactly.
And one group
Yeah,
you
that's-
definitely don't want to. You can be ostracized from strangers and be okay with that. You don't want to be
I don't
ostracized
fucking
from
know
your
that
friends and
person.
family.
Exactly.
But that's that outside influence that we talked about. The reason that your family's that way in the first place is because of that outside influence. So that's not really a chemically induced, or you know what I'm saying, type of mental health. That's a outside influence type of mental health. And that's honestly taken over Western society all over. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big proponent of mental health, is those types of things, and that people have to deal with because it's hard to even talk about, right? I mean, like, I've
Look what
been
the
married.
gay communities have to gone through in the past, you know,
For
like
sure.
fucking 100 years, man.
Yeah, or anyone who's ever had AIDS. I don't know if that plays into this, but if you had that type of disease, like, you could never tell anyone type of thing. I don't even know why I said that. That's completely
No, that's the same. No, it's the same. It's different, but
different.
but same.
But it's crazy that proponent of the induced type of mental health has a grasp on all of us. Not Carl. I'm just kidding, Carl.
No, I'm no offense taken.
Yeah, but it's just, that's insane.
I think Carl just lives a healthy lifestyle and tries his best and feels fulfilled. And you're right. You shouldn't.
But was that the point of the Bible in religion? Did they know that it would have this type of impact on generation after generation after generation? And then other people saw that, and then they were able to add different little, side hustles for how to create mental health issues. Maybe that wasn't their
I for sure no.
I was very confused by
I
that.
think I kind of follow. I could be
segue
off,
into
but I
that
think
one.
I kind of follow. I for sure believe that there are people taking advantage of and I'm not talking about people who think they have mental health problems. I'm talking about companies and pharmaceuticals and stuff that are taking advantage of the fact that mental health is a thing and mental health awareness is a thing, and almost convincing people that they have problems when it's just an everyday, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's what you were getting at.
I'm just saying that when religion was created, they had to have seen the impact it had on families. Like, and Jesse, I'm not asking you to go. I've seen the scenario. You know what I'm saying? And the impacts mental health wise, and they had to have seen that as well. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just not wording it
So
right.
like giving an outlet to like, hey, you're not depressed, just look into Jesus and you'll be fine.
Yeah, basically.
You giving them.
And then
I mean, that's what you talk about the majority of what religion says whenever it comes to that. They go, oh, well, you're just not living your life right.
Oh, you have a
Get
question
right
with
with
no
God.
answer. Here's a solution.
Right.
For free.
Yeah.
Get right with
Faith-based.
Jesus, get right with Jesus. That's always the answer.
Right.
Is that that's what you're getting at?
Kind of, yeah, kind of. I'm just saying the impacts of mental health that has on people. What religion represents. And then seeing what you're going through, and Johnny, I think you know what I'm talking about, the conversations we've had with Jesse outside. Like, that's not healthy. That's like that's a mental health issue. You know what I'm saying? And I think,
And I wouldn't call that depression or anxiety or anything. That's just
it's something, I guess that's a subcategory.
Mhm.
And I don't know why it just sparked into my head, but it's just the outside. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going, man. I had it beginning stages and I lost it.
I don't think mainstream religion helps mental health at all because they think that they have the answer to it. because that's the answer to everything, right? And anything outside of that, then they're able to give over power, and then it's like they become irrelevant. So everything has to come through, like, well, once again, just talking about mainstream religion, there's plenty of Christian people that are like, man, you need to go see a psychiatrist. You need to, actually take the right steps. I'm saying just in general, they're like, well, if you just follow this religion correctly, then all your problems will be answered.
Which
that
is
kind of
bullshit.
what you're getting at?
I mean, that's bullshit, though.
Well, that'd be an outside influence. The same thing along those same lines of a solution would be drugs, pharmaceuticals. Like, hey, you're depressed, go take this shit.
That's another
Right.
thing too, like Xanax. Like look at the problems that Xanax has created from people, that you're not making them
You're not fixing anything.
less anxious, you're making them feel empty
Yeah.
almost. And there hasn't been medication that does it correctly. I'm sure that there are like pharmaceutical progressions that are getting closer to actually helping these issues, but a lot of people with chronic anxiety and shit, they have to deal with so many fucking side effects that, man, it's you just empty them of their fucking personality, and
I do believe that there are pharmaceuticals out there that can help people as well, though.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not to say they don't have their place. But you were just saying, religion gives people an outlook on hopefulness for depression, but, so there's also pharmaceuticals for it, too.
You were talking about Jordan Peterson, and he always talked about his depression. And the biggest thing, which I could be wrong on this, because this was literal years ago that I saw Jordan Peterson talk about this on a podcast or an interview or something, where he talked about whenever he switched his diet up, helped his depression like quite a bit. And he's recognizing of his chemical depression. And I'm pretty sure in the interview or podcast, or whatever, that he was talking about how his daughter has very similar depression that he has, and she started it and then recommended it to him, and then it helped him out a bunch too. I mean, I know that he said that before, but I just don't know how that's progressed over the years, whether or not it's actually like helped throughout time, because you can do something that might help momentarily, but the human body is really good at acclimating and then going right back to that same scenario. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like you can do some shit and, man, you're like, fuck, man, I feel good. Like this shit's working. And then the body just adjusts. And then next thing you know,
It's like a Band-Aid.
Right, yeah, no, literally. And then it goes right back to fucking where it was. So I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
I know this is kind of off subject, but just all of this being said, what this reminds me of, and this is nowhere near probably even true, but there was a popular psychic who said what God is God exploded and wanted to experience everything. I mean, that's the only way that I could describe, like, all people feeling these types of people feeling these types of ways and all these things, right? Because Carl doesn't feel it, but we feel it, or whoever feels it, type of thing. And it doesn't make sense that these things should exist.
You're getting into some weird philosophical shit, because there's a big one that said eventually God would get bored. Okay, so let's say that, and this is the philosophical side of it. Like, let's say everybody became God and you could do whatever the fuck you wanted to do. You could shape things however you wanted to do. Day one, if you're a guy, you're probably banging chicks and have nice shit. And then over time, you'd be infinite. You'd get bored of that. And then eventually, over time, after all that adventure of all that pleasure and shit, you'd want to fucking start feeling pain. So you're talking about that sense of a God plot,
Right. Correct,
not a complex, but the mentality of, man, God would eventually want
To feel
the
everything.
bad shit to be able, but also, man, you're just talking about very just like light philosophy. That's a very general.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that is a philosophy thing where it's just basically you can't.
And that's super light, because you're trying to get into it. It's like trying. I never liked it so much, because it's like the view of God if you were God, but you'll never actually able to be God. So that's only from our position, not what an actual like infinite being would do, because that's impossible, right? It's impossible to get into that kind of mind coming from a finite being.
No. So what I'm suggesting is everyone is God. Everything is God. Everything and everyone is God, because that's what God wanted.
Honestly,
to
I
experience.
kind of line up that too with my own beliefs, that we are just apertures of the universe experiencing itself in a weird way.
That's a good. That's
So-
essentially the same thing, right?
Which I totally ripped
You
that off
you
of.
could call the universe God if you wanted to.
Yeah, in a weird way, but
Yeah.
but that's all philosophy, like thinking
yeah.
big kind of shit. Bring some weed next time, man. I'll go more in depth on that.
Then we'll get really like What was that thing I said that one? Oh man, I'm my own book and other people are their own book and story. And when my book closes and my consciousness is gone, nothing else exists for me. So that means nothing exists at all because I'm my own.
Man,
Yes.
I did always hate this argument. Talking to Christians about, oh man, atheist, how can you believe that just nothing's going to be after this? And I'm like, well, there's actually plenty of things that happen. It's just you're not involved in it.
Yeah.
That's,
There's still
you know?
like other stuff happens. You're not there.
Yeah.
And also, how watered down would it be if we were infinite beings? Like you wouldn't take anything. Everything's for granted. If you're infinite.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
But once again, that's me trying to put myself in this infinite God position of thought.
Sure.
For philosophical reasons, which is always fun, man. It's always fun roads to go down. Philosophy is fucking great because there is no right and wrong in it.
Exactly.
It's just like really deep,
It's opinion based.
fucking thoughts. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much more I can hit up the mental health. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else. I don't know what we would segue into, man.
Oh man, because initially why we wanted to start talking about it, which we haven't even got into, is males don't talk about their
true.
mental health problems because
Right.
you look like a bitch. You're like, man, I don't want to look like a bitch. I know I didn't like whenever I was talking earlier about whenever I had that anxiety attack, panic attack, whatever I had. I wasn't about to be like going up to a manager. I'm like, I need some help right now. Like something's wrong right now. It was immediately like, contain it, fucking fight through it. Don't talk to anybody about it. Don't let anybody know you're experiencing this, and just fight through it and then go home and you'll work it out on your fucking own. And then everything will be, and
that's unhealthy.
that is unhealthy.
Incredibly unhealthy, especially if it's something. Not saying that anxiety isn't a serious thing, but I'm saying like if like suicide and stuff like that, like yeah, that's something to talk about so that you don't fucking do it. You don't just bottle that up forever.
And it's a very male thing to where you're like, I need to handle it because it's fucking me. And no male in existent, female, whatever, no human being is ever self just, you can do everything by yourself. That's not, first of all, it's not how human beings work. We rely very much upon everything else, every other human being that's around us to make shit work. And I think just males have this like hard-nosed idea that, man, I'll fucking handle it.
There's a reason nobody's okay in solitary confinement.
Yeah, no.
True.
Yeah.
I think it's a poor example. You're constraining that person in that environment.
So I think
You're not allowing them to do anything.
So I think if you want to end it
go anywhere.
on any note, is that, man, if you're feeling weird about anything, it's perfectly natural, and you need to have an outlet to be able to talk about that. Because the worst thing is not being able to have an open, like, somebody to fucking talk to about something. You gotta find somebody.
Do you think it's beneficial ever to hold it in?
No, fuck no.
No, you don't think you could. So do you think if there was a person who just let everything out and just told their closest, deepest friends everything that they felt, that would be beneficial, and it would always be beneficial, as opposed to maybe?
I think probably in moderation, sure, but not everything all the time.
Situational. You're talking about situational.
Like I wouldn't spew my guts out all the time, constantly to everybody.
Yeah,
like that's also, I think, probably unhealthy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's always. But then again, you're like, okay, well now the guy who's viewing this is like, oh, okay, well now I need to hold it in again. That's not. I don't know. You need to have an outlet to be able to be fucking honest about how you feel about things and about what like you're experiencing in your world. You need to be able to be open and honest whenever some shit goes wrong. There's nothing wrong with fucking a guy fucking crying and being like, I fucking hate fucking life right now. And I know I'm supposed to be this fucking champion, just fucking goes on because that's what society is fucking painted for us. We can be fucking emotional too. We can get upset about things. We can have very passionate emotions and feel things, and we should be able to be open and talk about it. I cry at the end of every fucking Pixar movie I've ever seen in my life.
I'll tear up. I don't cry, but
I cry like a bitch. I
just wonder how it fits into the Pixar theory.
No, but there's nothing wrong with males being emotional or outward about how they're feeling fucking emotionally. I think I'm also just hyper sensitive to it's something about, like, I don't know.
Pussy.
Movies.
See, no, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't give a shit. I don't care. The fucking guys at work. So you want to have a great example of this is we used to do this at work for February for breast cancer awareness is they would make the margaritas pink. And there were some guys that literally would not drink the margaritas because they're pink.
Really?
And they're too feminine for them to drink. Or it'd be, oh, they're pink, man. I'm not going to drink that pink shit. And I'm like, how insecure, how much shit do you have bottled up right now to where this is this, like, man, that's what, man, you can't even show an ounce of fucking.
I've had men
and
order.
It's such a stupid thing. It's a fucking color. The shit that's bottled up in that guy that won't drink that margarita, he needs to fucking talk to somebody. Like, he needs a hug, and he probably needs a good cry. And,
or like when someone orders
a
strawberry daiquiri and says, "Put it in a mug," though.
Yeah,
like, dude,
yeah, like it's
dude,
gotta
if you
be-
want to
it
drink a
can't
strawberry
be-
daiquiri,
It's
just
still
drink
clear.
a strawberry daiquiri.
Like, you gotta
I'll
be
drink
this
one; they're
fucking-
delicious.
Right.
Like
Like,
I don't
you
give a
gotta-
fuck if it's in a vase that's shaped like a dick. Like I don't.
When did males get to the point to where, man, we don't have we're not allowed to have emotions either, you know? But that's what their mind is telling them. I'm fine, man. I'll cry at the end of a movie. I don't give a shit. I'll walk out teary eyed. I don't care. Encanto fucking moved me.
Canto's good.
Great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Cuban based movie.
Encanto?
Yeah.
You
You not seen it yet? You got kids. I
No,
have a
fuck
kid
yeah,
yet,
I've
and
seen
I
it, but
watched
you,
that shit.
yeah. Is it Encanto or Canto?
Encanto.
Encanto.
Encanto?
Yeah.
Encanto.
Is it
Quesadilla.
Is it in
Whatever.
Kansas?
Whatever.
I think
No, that was a good movie. I saw that one.
basically what it comes down to is life's extremely hard. And I've thought about it a few times, and I don't think that life.
It's such a great summary.
Life
Well,
is
life's
really
hard.
fucking hard.
No, but hold on. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not. And I know for some people it is harder. Going through these types of mental health issues, it's a lot harder than it is for other people. But it was never meant to be easy, because if it was easy, then what would be the point of life? It would be extremely easy and fruitful for everyone. And maybe that's why these things exist. And God, or whatever the happening, or the Big Bang, or whatever this existence is.
That movie with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, that one's.
The happening.
I don't know how that came into play.
Yeah. And I always think about that. It's like it was never.
It's the grass.
It was never meant to be easy, and you gotta take it head on, and you gotta, whatever you're feeling. I don't know. I think again a lot of it's outside influence, and a lot of it's within your control and your habits. And habits are a big part of the issue of what these mental health, what it creates mental health issues is habits. And when you create these habits and you get older and you get wiser, I mean, dude, it's tough to break habits. It truly is. No, we got time.
No. Carl's watch is just constantly on Discord right now.
Oh, got you.
It's been like that for the last 20 minutes, and I'm like,
Got 10 minutes.
It's going to burn your wrist, man.
It's just, that's it, man. It's just, life is a challenge, and you got to either buck up to the challenge or you don't. And when it comes to mental health, talking about it with other people is completely okay, and
I
find
think
that outlet.
bucking up to the challenge doesn't mean, like, as a male, just trying to be a hard ass and not talking about shit. I think the most manly thing you can do is actually get over that, and you can
Well, a lot of
not be worried about how you're viewed, and you can actually be emotional. You can actually be open and talk about how you feel about things and be vulnerable.
But before
I think
you-
it has to do with the vulnerable thing, really, is males aren't supposed to be perceived as vulnerable, you know?
I was going to say, I think that's part of, you talk about bucking up to the challenge. That can be the challenge. Like you say, oh, you just got to, like, life is hard, buck up to the challenge and be there for it. I think sometimes that challenge maybe your version of bucking up to the challenge needs to be, hey, you need to go talk to someone. Like, and that's hard for you to do.
Right.
Like, it's hard for you to talk to a friend or do therapy or see a doctor or whatever. Maybe that
hold
is
on.
the challenge.
But hold on, you have a lot of choices in life, and whatever those choices are and whatever leads you into the direction of life that you choose, again, that comes down to habit. And let's say alcoholism is what you choose to go down. And there's nothing, maybe there's a lot of things wrong with that. Maybe there's not. I'm not completely sure. You live your life however you want to live it. But that you cannot say that doesn't complement mental health issues, right? You can't say that doesn't give into that. And maybe that's why you're having these types of mental health issues.
And you got to go through the checklist.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is, before you go and talk to someone, you need to find it within yourself to defeat those types of enemies or those types of mental health issues, because habits, again, and it doesn't have to be just alcohol. It could be food, drugs, like we talked about earlier. Jesse, you were clean for what? When was it when you were most fit?
Oh, year and a half. I went without, like...
Yeah, and you were completely physically...
And also unhappy.
Happy.
And also unhappy, too.
Right.
On top of it. Not depressed. I wasn't depressed. I didn't have anxiety as much. I wouldn't say. I still had anxiety, by the way.
But you were eating clean. You were drinking clean.
Yeah.
You weren't, no drugs, no
Working
alcohol, working out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess that
But
would
you
be,
could still have anxiety because you can just have anxiety.
Yeah.
because it's built in. It can be built in, yeah.
But unnecessary shit too, to where I'm like, man, I shouldn't be anxious here, and I'm like super anxious, and it's just this overwhelming.
And how old were you at that time?
26.
So you got to think 26. You live for 26 years, and you finally do, what's best for your
What
body.
you think is everything right?
What's best for your body and mind, right? And
I was
ju-
meditating too.
and just
When you
for
bring that, I was meditating.
But you did it for just a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You've lived for 26 years. You haven't given. And that is a substantial amount of time to help heal your body. If that's the best thing you can do for your body to avoid these types of mental health issues. What I'm saying is maybe if you give it more time, maybe over an extended period of time, maybe you wouldn't have had those types of things, because we've been involved in 26 years of habits is a long time. And I know you're a kid for a large part of that. But once you hit 16 and you're drugs, alcohol for that's
10 years.
That's 10 years, man.
Man, I agree a lot with, and I'm really curious to see how I'm going to react to my first kid, because Jordan Peterson talks about how males respond at their best and peak level whenever you become responsible for something else. Like I'm a little bit of a fucking nihilist. I really am. But the idea of bringing a kid into the world, all of a sudden, now that nihilism fucking goes away like real quick. Even though I haven't like held the kid or anything like that, I'm like, all of a sudden now it's like, fuck, now shit fucking matters. And I understand a little bit of what Jordan Peterson was talking, even though it's like very small because he's not been born yet or anything like that. But now I can understand what he's talking about how you give purpose to me by being responsible for this other thing. And then now this other really cool mentality comes in to where, man, I have something to take care of. I have something that is this beautiful thing that I have an opportunity to make better than me.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick, and I'll let you hit it back, because you just sparked.
I don't want to talk too much about it, because like I said, he isn't even born yet.
You sparked something in my head, and I think that this could be one of the issues when it comes to mental health. Is the thing is, and something that we're never taught, is that what you were describing is yourself or myself or yourself. Once you become an adult, or whenever that time is, you're never taught, like, you're taking care of yourself. You are, essentially, what you're going to do to that child is leaps and bounds over what you would do for yourself.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And when have you ever decided?
Like, fuck me, bro. What the fuck do I have?
But that's what I'm saying. That's never, like, why wouldn't you do that for yourself, what you're going to do for your child?
Oh, you're talking about self-love. So maybe you have an issue with self-love. I don't know.
I don't know. That's what
we could turn this into a therapy session, because I really, if you want. No, I have issues with like, I have like things where I'm like, man, I don't like things about myself, but it's not like necessarily like changeable things. It's just kind of like who I am.
But you can try and change those things, and it just reverts back. You're right.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree.
Does that make sense though? Like, you're never really taught to like self-love. I guess that's the way to describe it.
I've self-loved. I'm ashamed sometimes afterwards of the things I've looked at, but
I self-love in the shower.
I'm relating it to a child. After you see your first child being born, and the things you're going to sacrifice.
You're not willing to give yourself the same like level of
what
sacrifice of what you would do for them.
That's insane. And it's like, why aren't you taught that? And maybe you are, and we've talked about selfishness and stuff like that, but I think it's a different level.
That's almost an unteachable thing. Like, you have to experience that, though. Like, I'm only just beginning to experience it because I know that I have a kid, he's just not born yet. And then now all of a sudden, all these, like, man, like the switch has been kind of changed a little bit to where what I'm having to do in my life. And it's just really, like, it's exciting. Like, it's this exciting feeling, and I'm getting excited about things. And, like, for him, though. Like kind of shit. Not for myself. Like I said, I'm easily a fucking nihilist. Like before getting somebody pregnant and the idea of a kid, to where I'm like, man, just, you know what? The world's fucked. Just let it burn, man. Just fucking let it burn. I'm so upset at everything, and you just, like, fuck it. Just fuck it. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do my shit, and then it's going to be over. But then now you have this, and you're like, fuck.
Now it matters.
Now I gotta fucking do shit different for him. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I believe in that males are driven or better in scenarios when we're responsible for something outside of ourselves. Because we can so easily just be self-destructive as males. It's super easy. But the second you throw in another variable in there, then we start caring deeper. I don't know. Which you're right. Like, I should have just been a better person, right? Like, I should have just been like, oh, the children of the world, cared about all that and shit.
It's probably meant to be that way because that's the point of, creating another person. Like that, it gives you that type of adrenaline or that type of knowledge or whatever you want to call it. Whenever you do have a child, for most people, that's the type of feeling that you get from that. And that's the purpose of, like, that's what drives us to have kids and keep creating and you know what I'm saying, generations and that type of thing. That's embedded in human DNA. I don't know if that's evolution or part of it, but.
And I have family that I love, by the way. It's not like I actually wanted the world to burn. I was talking about just from like, man, nothing like
in general.
Fuck it. It's a very much just fuck it mentality.
Yeah.
Like if single male in his fucking there's so much you can do as a single male with no kids, like 30 years old, to where you're just like, man, fuck all of it. Like, it's so easy to just have that. And
Johnny's the only one now who has that.
I don't know
at all.
I don't know. No, I had that mentality. Like before, and I'm slowly like easing into something that's outside of that because I'm like, now I'm responsible for it. It's never that I, actually wanted all the burn or anything like that, but it's just the level of how much you actually like grasp it. And there's no connection to it. And you're just like, man, the world is what it is. I have no control over this. I think it's because you actually can now like impart fucking wisdom on something that's going to be like lasting. I don't know. Going down a weird road.
No, that's part of it.
I don't want to sound like an asshole. Might have sounded
Well,
like an asshole.
you're going to see real soon what the impacts you have on a child, man. It's very, yeah. I mean, they listen and they repeat. So that's really all I can tell you.
Nice.
We were close to the end of the hour. That's fun, man. This fun time, fun baby boy.
Yeah, you were right at 59 minutes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
UFOs and shit.
No, there's something that happened over Alaska. I don't know what.
Is
what
it
was.
fucking stupid that UFOs aren't even cool anymore?
Yeah.
Like you remember, like it was only like a handful of years ago that UFOs and shit was cool. Now the world is like, dude, people don't even give a shit. Like, yeah, man, UFOs could not be like who.
Roswell could come out and be like, yeah,
The
here's
Pope-
the aliens, and everybody's like, yeah, but like
the Pope came
Ukraine
out.
and
Yeah.
Pope came out. Nobody gives a fuck about aliens anymore. Like yeah, fucking aliens. Yeah, they were a thing. Nobody.
Wait, did the Pope come out? Is that a thing?
I didn't finish that sentence. The Pope came out talking about how extraterrestrial.
I thought you were saying the Pope came out. He was
Oh,
like, I'm
he's
Catholic
gay.
and I'm gay. I was like, oh.
It's coming soon, man. It's coming soon.
That will be a thing that will never happen because there won't be a Catholic church
That supports
that would. So the whole thing would be like.
But doesn't the Vatican lead that? So wouldn't they have to follow?
I just want to start a church so we can avoid taxes, man. That'd be cool as fuck.
I've been looking into Satanism, man.
Oh,
That's the thing.
No, Satanism's not bad, man.
It's not.
Everybody think it has to deal with
Satanism's not
Satan, but it's no. It's kind of like the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster or any of those. There's some like tax
actually-
breaks and stuff you can get with Satanism, and there's some other stuff too.
I'm sorry, because there's two different sects right now of it. One is the Church of Satan, and then the other one is called something else. One of them is recognized as an actual religion in the United States. And I can't remember which one's which, or even...
Pretty
even
sure it's the
fucking-
Church of Satan.
It's the church?
Pretty sure. Don't quote me
I
on
almost want to say it's the other way around. I could be fucking completely wrong on this. But no, it's really interesting to look into. They're solid people. They're really good fucking people.
They did a thing that allowed people to they wrote up a bunch of whatever, not legislation because that's the wrong thing, but a lot of stuff in there like religious bylaws and all this, and then got it passed through the right places and stuff, but that basically allowed you to show if you were a member of it or whatever, you could avoid the whole having to be vaccinated for work thing
Oh, nice.
because it's against your religion to put something foreign into your body or whatever.
I guarantee you this would have been funny for us to actually do, to where I just put like a whiteout over a Church of Satan and then had their list of morals and then showed other people and they're like, yeah, man,
That's great.
this is
That's
such a good
awesome.
I kid you not. So many people will be like, yeah, this is a great organization.
You
And then you take
peel
the
off
tape
the
off,
tape.
Church of Satan.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Sign at the bottom.
That would be our first 10K video if we actually went out in public and did that.
Ooh, that'd be
Dude,
fucking
that would be
hilarious.
really fucking cool.
Yeah.
You need to look into that.
Hey, can I talk to you about my religion?
Yeah, go downtown KC.
Here's our bylaws.
Or not even that. Be like, what do you feel about this is a religion that's established in the United States. How do you feel about their bylaws?
I have
And then you read through, and then I kid you not, so many, especially like millennials, definitely lines up with fucking millennials because it's a very free thinking religion.
I have the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple.
You got that real quick.
Yeah. Oh God, advertisement. Satan's got to get his ads too.
Satan needs money. Jesus needs it too.
Let's see. Tenet 1. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will. That has to deal with the vaccine thing and all that, blah, blah. 4, the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own freedom. 5, belief should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. 6, I said 4 twice. I don't know. 6, people are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. 7, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word.
If you didn't have the Church of Satan on that, you'd be like, man, that sounds cool. That's Church of Satan, though. I'm sorry.
That was made by a person. I'd love to have that person on the podcast, honestly.
But there's a whole following
that was
of that.
the one. So that was the one that was established in like 1977. It's actually based in.
Which that's not the Church of Satan. That's the Satanic Temple, which may be the actual one that's like.
Okay, because I'm getting we should try to get a fucking Satanist on.
We should, man. That would be pretty interesting.
Yes,
That'd
that
be
would be
dope.
dope
Send
as
me,
shit.
tell me what I need to look up to find contact information. I'll definitely email some.
Church of Satan or
bro.
Satanic Temple or whatever.
Just remind me when we go outside.
That'd be crazy.
Well, we're a little bit over the end of the hour. We'll kind of leave it there. Carl, greatly appreciated you having you on, man.
I love being here.
We got some things in the works. I got a few guests that might be potentially coming on in the next few weeks. I'll leave it to you at that. It's going to be a good time here at Talk Junkies. I'm slowly not playing Rust as much, so I'll get back to emailing people and getting more people onto the show. You got one more lasting thought, Jesse?
After the podcast.
Okay. But the best thing that you could do for this podcast, and this was a good podcast to share to all your friends and family, is hit that like button, hit the bell notification to our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the bell.
If you're ever dealing with mental problems and seriously, it's a serious thing. Like, talk to someone
I forgot about that.
Your family members will not judge you. Like, talk to them. They care about you. Your loved ones care about you. Your friends care about you. If that's not an option, I was going to say, if that's not an option, because for whatever reason you feel that you don't have loved ones or family members or whatever may be the circumstance, there are plenty of free resources, National Suicide Prevention Hotline, a whole bunch of different stuff. Or let us know in the comments. There's no judgment here.
I'll
talk to anybody to keep them from having the worst day of their life.
Literally anything. You're right. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, good call on that. I completely forgot how we started that one.